You're ready for adventure, but before you can board that plane, you hit a wall: the US visa application. For millions, this process is more than paperwork. It's a barrier that can keep families apart and dreams on hold. Today, we're diving into the 10 Asian countries with the highest US visa refusal rates, exploring the stories and reasons behind those numbers. First up is Afghanistan, a country that has faced decades of conflict, uncertainty, and upheaval. Its people have endured war, regime changes, and the constant struggle to rebuild their lives amid instability. Today, Afghanistan holds one of the highest US visa refusal rates in the world. For most Afghans, the dream of visiting the United States, whether for education, family, or opportunity, remains out of reach. After the government collapse in 2021, the situation worsened dramatically. Proving strong ties to home, such as a stable job, property, or even a sense of security, became nearly impossible for ordinary Afghans. Many lost their livelihoods overnight, and the uncertainty made it difficult to demonstrate any reason to return home after a trip abroad. The closure of the US Embassy in Kabul forced visa applicants to travel to third countries, like Pakistan, Uzbekistan, or Qatar, for interviews. This adds not only huge financial costs, but also logistical nightmares, as many struggle to obtain visas for these countries just to attend their US interview. For families already facing hardship, these extra steps can be insurmountable. Even students who have earned scholarships to American universities, or people seeking urgent family reunions, are often denied. Consular officers, facing overwhelming numbers and limited resources, frequently presume that applicants intend to immigrate permanently, regardless of their true intentions or documentation. For most Afghans, the door to the US is not just closed, it's locked tight. This reflects not only strict immigration policy, but also the deep personal impact of ongoing geopolitical chaos. Hopes and futures are put on hold, sometimes indefinitely. Behind every statistic is a real person, a student, a parent, a child, whose dreams have been deferred, whose plans have been shattered by forces beyond their control. Afghanistan's high refusal rate is a stark reminder of how global crises can sever even the most basic human connections, leaving families divided and futures uncertain. The story of Afghanistan is not just about numbers, but about the countless lives caught in the crossfire of history. Next, we turn our attention to Laos, a peaceful country nestled in Southeast Asia, rarely making international headlines, yet home to millions with dreams and aspirations like anyone else. Despite its quiet presence, Laos faces some of the highest US visa refusal rates in the region. The main reason: economics. For many Laos citizens, the journey to America begins with a mountain of paperwork and hope, but often ends in disappointment. With low average incomes and limited financial assets, consular officers frequently view Lao applicants as high risks for overstaying their visas. The fear is that, once in the US, they may not return home. Many Lao Americans living in the United States today arrived decades ago as refugees, fleeing conflict and hardship. Ironically, this established diaspora can sometimes work against new applicants. Consular officers may suspect that family ties in America increase the likelihood that visitors will overstay and not return to Laos. Genuine travelers, farmers, families, business people, and even students struggle to prove strong ties to their homeland, especially when their lives and livelihoods don't fit neatly into Western definitions or paperwork. The result? Missed family reunions, lost business opportunities, and a quiet, invisible wall that keeps Laos isolated from the wider world, limiting dreams and connections. For many in Laos, the American dream remains just that, a distant dream shimmering on the horizon just out of reach. Cambodia's high refusal rate is rooted in its turbulent history and ongoing economic challenges. Proving strong ties is tough when wealth is uneven and jobs are unstable. The large Cambodian American community, born from past upheaval, paradoxically raises suspicion for new applicants. Even entrepreneurs and cultural ambassadors are often denied, their potential dismissed by a system focused on risk. For Cambodians, the visa process is a frustrating reminder of how the past still shapes their future. The door to opportunity remains stubbornly closed for many. Nepal, famed for its mountains, faces steep odds in the US visa process. Economic hardship and informal documentation make it hard for applicants to prove they'll return home. Recent policy changes have increased scrutiny, especially for students and young travelers. Even respected Gurkhas and skilled guides are often denied, reduced to risk factors on a form. For many Nepalis, the American dream is visible online, but out of reach in reality. The system rarely sees the person behind the paperwork. Bangladesh, one of the world's most densely populated countries, faces high visa refusal rates that affect families and businesses alike. Despite a booming garment industry, only the wealthiest applicants are likely to succeed. Short, high-pressure interviews leave little room for nuance, and nervous answers can mean denial. The large Bangladeshi diaspora in the US means many families miss out on reunions and milestones. Visa shopping and collective suspicion make it even harder for genuine travelers. For Bangladeshis, the visa barrier is a daily reminder that global mobility is still a privilege, not a right. Pakistan's visa refusal rate is shaped by a tangled web of geopolitics, security concerns, and economic pressures. Diplomatic ups and downs directly impact visa policies, making the process unpredictable. Since 9/11, Pakistani applicants face extra scrutiny and long administrative delays, often with no explanation. Proving strong ties is especially tough for ordinary citizens who bear the burden of suspicion. The result: families separated, business stalled, and students left in limbo. For Pakistanis, the visa process is a mirror of the complex, often fraught relationship with the US. The Philippines and the United States share a unique and deeply intertwined history, marked by decades of cultural exchange, shared traditions, and close diplomatic ties. From the days of American colonization to the present, the influence of the US can be seen in everything from language and education to food and pop culture in the Philippines. Yet despite this closeness, the process of obtaining a US visa remains a significant challenge for many Filipinos, often filled with uncertainty and anxiety. The long and complex history of migration between the two countries has led US consular officers to be especially cautious. Many are concerned that applicants might overstay their visas or use tourist visas as a way to immigrate permanently. This wariness is rooted in decades of migration patterns, where stories of both successful and overstayed visits have shaped current policies. Even having close family members already living in the US, which might seem like a positive connection, can actually raise suspicions during the visa process. The visa assistance industry in the Philippines is vast, offering both genuine support and, unfortunately, fraudulent services that can complicate matters for honest applicants. As a result, even travelers with legitimate reasons and flawless paperwork often face intense scrutiny. The process can be nerve-wracking, and approval is never guaranteed, no matter how well prepared an applicant may be. The outcome is heartbreaking for many. Families remain separated by thousands of miles, opportunities for cultural exchange are limited, and a strange paradox emerges, where the very closeness between the Philippines and the US leads to even greater suspicion and barriers. For countless Filipinos, the American dream is something they know well through stories, family, and media. Yet for many, it remains just out of reach, familiar, yet frustratingly distant, as they navigate a system that seems to keep them at arm's length. Vietnam's transformation from wartime adversary to economic partner hasn't eased the visa process for its citizens. The large Vietnamese-American community and rapid economic growth raise red flags for consular officers who worry about overstays and fraudulent documents. Even successful entrepreneurs and students face skepticism about their intentions. Denials aren't just bureaucratic, they're missed opportunities for cultural exchange and understanding. The high refusal rate sends a message of lingering mistrust, even as official relations warm. For young Vietnamese, the US remains a place of fascination, but also of frustration. Sri Lanka's recent economic and political crises have made US visas even harder to obtain. Proving financial stability is nearly impossible when the economy is in freefall and jobs are vanishing. The application process is unforgiving. One small mistake or vague answer can mean instant denial. Political instability adds another layer of risk, making officers even more cautious. For Sri Lankans, the visa maze is just one more obstacle in a time of national hardship. The result? Isolation, missed opportunities, and a sense of doors closing just when hope is needed most. Uzbekistan is opening up after decades of isolation, but old perceptions linger in the US visa system. A history of authoritarianism and economic struggles means consular officers remain skeptical, even as reforms take hold. Lack of travel history becomes a catch-22. Denied visas prevent travel, and lack of travel leads to more denials. Progress is slow, and applicants must be exceptionally prepared to prove their ties and intentions. As Uzbekistan modernizes, trust will take time to build. For now, each applicant must tell the story of a new Uzbekistan, one interview at a time. 10 countries, 10 stories, but one truth. Behind every visa denial is a person longing to connect, explore, or reunite. These aren't just numbers, they're missed reunions, lost opportunities, and dreams put on hold by forces beyond individual control. Understanding these barriers is the first step toward a more connected, empathetic world. If you believe in the power of these stories, join our community and help keep these conversations going. Travel is a privilege. Never forget it. Stay curious, stay hopeful, and keep exploring.